At this point, I don't think we need to go through all those steps, but we'll talk about the steps as we go. For each one of these, the first thing we're going to do is what? Factor tree, right? So we're going to factor, we just need to factor the radicand, which in this problem, the radicand is the only number here. But if we have a number that's in the coefficient, we don't need to worry about factoring that. So how does 50 factor? 5 and 10. And the 5's prime, but the 10 is composite, so that'll keep going. 5 times 2. All right, and so once we factor it, we're going to rewrite the problem. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put an equal sign to show that what I'm going to write next is has the same value as what I started with. And then I'm going to rewrite it. Instead of 50, I'm going to have what? What am I going to replace the 50 with? 2 times 5 times 5, right? So instead of 50, I'm going to have 2 times 5 times 5. Now what am I forgetting? The square root, right? We need the square root there because we had it over the 50. So 2 times 5 times 5 is 50. So this is the square root of 50 here. This is the square root of 50 here. It's just written a different way. Now what are we looking for? We're looking for pairs. Do we have any pairs here? Yeah, see a pair of 5s. So what's going to happen with that pair? Yeah, it's going to... So that's a 5 squared. So the square on the 5 is going to cancel with the square root, and we're going to get a 5 on the outside. So when we have a pair, that number that we circled goes on the outside. But remember, there's only one 5, right? Mm-hmm. On the inside, there's 2 of them because it makes a square. But on the outside, there's only 1. All right, so the 5 is going to be on the outside in the coefficient. What about the 2? That's going to stay on the inside. So we're going to have 5 square root of 2 as our answer. So the next one, we'll start with a factor tree. 450 is kind of a big number, but it ends in a 0, so that makes it easy, right? 10 times what? 45. Now, if you did it a different way, that's fine. Just make sure you did it a correct way. Then the 10 is going to be 5 times 2. How about the 45? 5 times 9. 5's prime, 9's composite. How about that 9? 3 and 3. All right, so put our equal sign, put our square root, and then we're going to write this in standard form. So we've got 2 times 3 times 3 times 5 times 5. And what do I need to do here before I start looking for pairs? Yeah, make my square root cover everything. So make sure that everything that's in there inside the square root is covered by the square root. All right, now we're going to look for pairs. Do we have any? Yeah, I got a pair of 3s and a pair of 5s. So what are we going to have on the outside? 3 times 5. And on the inside? 2. Am I done? No. We got one more thing to do. We need to simplify it, right? 3 times 5 is 15. Can I multiply that times 2? Should I do 3 times 5 times 2? Why do I not multiply by the 2? Because it's on the inside, exactly. So make sure that you're not mixing outside numbers with inside numbers. You should never multiply them together. You should never make a pair with an inside number and an outside number together. They need to stay separate from each other. All right, last one. Let's factor that 60. Another one that ends in a 0, so we can start with 10 and 6. And then the 10 is 5 and 2. 6 is 2 and 3. So when we rewrite it here, we're going to have, instead of the 60, we're going to have 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. Yes, that's really important. So in this problem, we started with a coefficient. We need to make sure we keep that coefficient there. So there's a 7 in front of the square root. Make sure we keep that 7 in front of the square root. All right, so when we rewrite it, we need to make sure we have everything. Now we're looking for pairs. I see a pair of 2s. How about that 3 and 5? Can we pair those up? No, they have to be the same, right? So that's it. That's all the pairs we have. So what's going to go on the outside? Okay, we're going to have a 2 on the outside, but what's already out there? 7. So don't forget about that. We have the 7 that's already out there times the 2 that we had paired up on the inside. So our outside is going to be 7 times 2. And then the inside, the radicand, is going to be 3 times 5. And just like the last one, we need to simplify this. So on the outside, 7 times 2 is, and on the inside, 3 times 5 is. So we get 14 square root of 15.